We are holding on Daf Kuf Memches. It is 4 lines down, around note 9. So we discussed now Al Pi Kabbalah, how is the dynamics of Yetzias Mitzrayim, Matan Torah, and the time of Mashiach. And we're explaining this in order to understand how we say that on the one hand, there's a connection between the miracles that took place by Yetzias Mitzrayim and the Gula Siddur, and at the same time we're saying that the Gula Siddur, the miracles of the Gula Siddur, are infinitely greater, much greater, but in a way greater than that of Yetzias Mitzrayim. So we explained that there's the Nun Shari Bina. Nun Shari Bina, that's 50. We learned about them by the Memtes Shari Tumah that the Yidden were sunken into by coming out of Mitzrayim, and they had the 49 days, the Memtes days till Matan Torah, and then there was a gili of the Shari Nun of Bina. Now, and which is interestingly because each level you had to leave another level of klippah, of tumah, to get into kedusha, and that's why it says on the Torah, you see it's trying 50 times, because each one of these times represents and brings out a level of leaving the tumah to get into kedusha, a Yetzias Mitzrayim, not only leaving the country, but leaving the level of klippah. So go out. The Shem is saying you have the ability to leave this limitation of worldliness or of klippah in general to embrace an aspect of serving Hashem, of each detail of the person's spiritual makeup of the midos. 49. So we're holding now inside 4 lines down on page Kuf Memches, third word. V'hinna yedua she'nun shari bina yesh kama dargis. It's well known to those that know. It's brought down in the Chassidus and in the Kabbalah that there are many levels of these nun shari bina, and as many things are discussed in Kabbalah and Chassidus, they identify, let's say, certain levels, but there are and they lock in on certain levels, but they're themes. So these themes travel through on multiple levels, multiple dynamics. So you'll have the same theme that, for example, you've got Seichel and Midas. Seichel obviously is understanding, and Midas are feelings. So those are 2 specific levels, and each person you can relate to, a feeling of love, a feeling of fear, a feeling of joyous happiness, and you've got Seichel, understanding. However, you've also got a level of, why do I feel this way? What's fueling my feeling? Or, now that I understand this, where am I going with this? What's the feeling coming out of the idea? So you've got on multiple levels, there's Seichel, Midas sheba Seichel, Seichel sheba Midas. You've got a relationship between Midas and Seichel, and a similar relationship is between Chochmah and Bina, which is a whole topic in itself. But these are themes. So even though the Kabbalah refers to this as non shari bina, but they have multiple levels and dynamics of how and when they show up. So here we're going to talk about 3 particular dargas. Non inside non shari bina commotion im shochen b'malchus. When you have the non shari bina as they're drawn into malchus. And that's the Kabbalah says, it's from the Zohar, this next line, the hu ma'ashem esritu de yevla, from the side of the yovel. Yovel is 50, which represents bina. It's 50 levels. Nimshochen b'malchus. That's what the Zohar refers to. We're saying when you have the non-shari bina as it drawn into malchus, that's one level. Olamayla yoser. A higher level is non shari bina k'moshe bim keimam bina. So you have the non shari bina as they're not drawn into malchus, but as they are bina themselves. And And you have the higher level, K'mosheim Klulim B'Shara Nun, B'chinas Keser, B'Keser Guf, B'chinas Atik. And you have the Nun Shari Bin as they are, all included in the Nun, when you don't identify 50, but it's one level that includes all of them, which is referred to as the level of Keser. And in Keser itself, there's two levels of Keser. There's an external level and an inner level. An inner level is called Atik. So we've got three levels that we're discussing here. One is Malchus, one is Bin itself, and then one is Keser Atik. So we'll see how, depending on which level the Nun Shari Bina are revealed in, that depends on how it shows up in our world. So the Nun Shari Bina, we talked about before, means an understanding of Hashem. That it shines in this, that there's what shines in the Nun Shari Bina as they are, that the Hashem is the truth of all existence. Chochma says, Chochma is Hu Levadeh Hu Ve'ein Zolosei. There's nothing but Hashem. This is Madregas of Chochma. This statement, Hu Levadeh Hu Ve'ein Zolosei, there's nothing but Hashem. This Madregas of Chochma, this is what the Maggid told the Alter Rebbe. And it's written in Tanya in Perek Lamed Hey. Now, as that's developed into a broader understanding, you've got Bina. Bina expands the Chochmah. So if you reach into Bina, what would you understand, appreciate, and feel completely? There's no existence that Hashem. It'd resonate completely with the neshama of the person. That's on that level. However, in the flow of energy from the infinite Hashem into a seder of spheres, starting with Chochmah, then coming down into a level that creates our world, the engine of energy that creates a world is Malchus. Malchus is compared to speech. As the Kabbalah says, Malchus Dibur. What do you use speech for? To influence another person. Malchus is the engine that you have to get from you to somebody else, to be mashpia. No one knows what you're feeling and thinking unless you talk in our world. So Malchus, Dibur, is an interesting trait that we have. You don't need it for yourself. A person can be perfectly fine without talking to themselves. But you want to influence or tell somebody else what's going on with you, then you need Malchus. Malchus is words. So it's an engine to, so to speak, throw from you out over to somebody else, either like a king that rules a nation, or to let somebody else know how you're feeling, or to influence, to convince somebody. So that's Malchus. In spiritual terms, the energy that creates a level lower is called Malchus. In broad terms, that means that which creates our world. So it's the opposite of Bina. Bina is you feel Hashem, and it resonates. Hashem is the truth of all existence. I understand and see, and Malchus gives an existence that feels separate from Hashem. Same as when you talk to somebody who's not you. The world was created with Dibur. Vayomer Elikim Yehi Oer, all the different things that Hashem created was Vayomer Elikim. Hashem spoke. So that in general terms is the level of Malchus. So what's going to what happens when Bina shows up in Malchus? You've got attention. You've got an energy that's creating a world that feels independent, and you've got an energy that's saying the truth of all existence is Hashem. How are they going to interact? So that's one piece. That's what you had by Yetzias Mitzrayim. When we're talking about the Bina, then you're talking about the source of Bina, not as it is coming from Chochmah, but its very source in Keser. Keser is a revelation of the infiniteness of Hashem, Ein Sof itself, and that's what the source of Bina is. So by Yetzias Mitzrayim, you had the revelation of Bina as it came into Malchus. When Mashiach's coming, you're going to have the revelation of Bina as it in its source. where it's higher. It's not only there's nothing but Hashem. Everything is included in the existence of Hashem. And that will be the Gili of Atik, or Erein Sof, when Mashiach comes. So there won't be no static between a creation and the revelation of Hashem's presence. You'll have won't only be like it was by receiving of the Torah, when it was revealed in our world, this ruchnius, that there's nothing but Hashem, but the world wasn't yet affected. You're going to have a revelation where the whole world will be won't be static, it'll be uplifted and totally in tune with that there's nothing but Hashem. That's the level of Atik. And so it's understandable. That's why the revelations of Mashiach are going to be so much greater than Yetzias Mitzrayim. Because they're not going to be limited to how the world is a created entity. It'll be all as within the initial vision, how Hashem sees the world, that it should be one and united with Him. See how he says it inside. That's why it'll be that the revelations of Mashiach will be niflois, will be wondrous, gam b'yerech and niflois Yetzias Mitzrayim, even to those miracles that took place by Yetzias Mitzrayim. Why? Ki non shari bina shenimshoch b'Yetzias Mitzrayim, the non shari bina, as they were brought into Yetzias Mitzrayim, hey, sharim the bechinas bina, they were on the level of bina. He says in the brackets, v'zeh gufa, and that this itself, bina, as he had identified 50 levels, k'moshe nimshoch eide bechinas malchus, as they drawn into the level of malchus, which is the level, activating level of creating a world that feels itself independent. However, so there you had the tension. Here's a world that feels independent. However, we're telling you the truth is that there's a Hashem. Pare says, I don't know this Hashem. Moshe says, you're going to know him soon. Masha'ein came lost love. What's going to happen then? Ti hamshachus nun shari bina, k'moshe ein bekeser. It's going to be drawn down as is in Keser, in the high level of Keser, the all-encompassing energy of Hashem that is equal in all worlds, that there is no place void, that everything is absorbed within godliness. V'loyot, el shebekeser gufa, ti os hamshocha mibechinas atik. It's going to be from the inner level of Keser, be'atik gufa bechinas pnimis atik, and the very innermost levels of Atik itself, which in that shines the Erein Sof of Hashem, the infiniteness of Hashem, and where there's no room, there's no place for any other existence. So all the physical world will be elevated up to that level and we'll feel it. And that comes as a result of our Veda of Torah mitzvahs. So what happened by Yetzias Mitzrayim, because there was the tension, so therefore you had the Shavira. There was the Makkas, there was Kriyas Yamsuf, the Egyptians drowned. Pari was forced to see and recognize that the strength of the worldly values are nothing. Hashem's the ruler. Then by Matan Torah, the Yidden felt the oneness of Hashem. And the worldliness dissipated. They were totally absorbed in the spirituality and the godly revelation of Elokus. The Nun Shari Bin as they are Bin. And then when Mashiach comes, it's going to be through the Torah mitzvahs that we're doing. Hashem gave in the Torah and to the Neshamas Yisrael the ability to synthesize the two. Take the physical, use it out for spiritual, for a mitzvah, and Mashiach will come, you'll see that it's synthesized. There's not only won't be a tension, you'll have only Gashmis and Ruchnis, but the very Gashmis will be permeated with the experience, there's nothing but Hashem. The uplifted level totally of what Hashem is. We'll stop here, we'll pick up again the Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow.